Chapter 27. Did they tell you anything that could help us? Durotan persisted, looking from Drek'Tar to Gaia and back. He tried not to stare at Drek'Tar's face, which he had never seen before. Somehow, despite all logic, he felt the shaman would know.
The Spirit of Earth said that they would grant us a final gift, Drek'Tar said.
Durotan felt the blood drain from his face. Final? Despite the terrifying implications of his words, Drek'Tar looked curiously placid. He shook his head and said,
"There is too much to tell now, and none of it will matter if the clan is exterminated. We must go right away and trust in the word of the spirits, and hope that we are not too late. The Red Walkers have been living here for some time. They have absorbed some of the spirits' energies."
"They outnumbered us, and yet we defeated them with few injuries," Zaka pointed out. "They fought well enough, but they did not seem so strong to me." But Durotan understood. "Think, Zaka. They left their weakest behind." Her eyes widened. "We will overtake them," Durotan reassured her, and himself. "We have wolves. They do not. Come, let us spill more of the blood of those who would wear ours." The ice floe was there, awaiting them. While it still amazed Durotan to be ferried across the water in such complete safety, he was chafing against any restraint. And, as the further shore came into clearer view, he beheld a sight that caused him to drop to his knees in despair. Beside him, Kulzak let out a cry of pain. 6 white shapes could be seen on the white snow, shapes that reminded Durotan of the snow-hidden Red Walkers who had ambushed them, except these white forms were furred and far too still.
"What do you see?"
asked Drek'Tar.
"Our friends,"
said Durotan in a broken voice.
"The Red Walkers have killed our wolves."
The pain was twofold. First, and most pressing, they now no longer had an advantage over the murderous cannibals who were bearing down on their clan. But more than that, each of them had lost an ally. As Durotan had said, a friend. He had loved Sharptooth. But Drek'Tar was shaking his head.
"No,"
he said.
"Not dead. Not yet. Not all."
How could he tell? Durotan could see no sign of movement from any of the still white shapes. Then one of them lifted its head weakly before it fell back onto the snow. Hope surged in Durotan, and he leapt onto the bank and rushed to Sharptooth. His old friend whimpered, and Durotan's heart broke as the wolf tried to wag his tail. Durotan cocked his head as if listening.
"1 is dead. 2, I fear, are past saving," Drek'Tar said. 3 yet live, that the Spirit of Life will permit me to heal. The Red Walkers do not have mounts, but because of the time they have spent here, they are unnaturally swift. You will not catch them, but you will not be far behind them either. You will be able to lend your might to the battle."
"But 3 wolves cannot carry 5, Kulzak said. "Not if they are still recovering, and not for so long a run." "They will have to," Durotan said shortly.
"No,"
Drek'Tar said quietly.
"I will stay behind and keep the dying frost wolves company. I will be all right. The Spirit of Life assures me of this."
Durotan was torn. He wanted to order Drek'Tar to accompany them, but knew in his heart that Kulzak was right. "Tell me what you think is best, Drek'Tar, and I will obey. You have spoken with the spirits, not I." Drek'Tar moved forward. Wise Ear scented him and made a sad little sound. Drek'Tar placed his hands on his old friend's muzzle, opening it slightly, and gently breathed into the wolf's mouth. Durotan watched, awestruck, as the wounds in the beast's sides closed. A few heartbeats later, Wise Ear leapt up, whining and licking his master's face. Next, Drek'Tar's hands reached for Sharptooth, and Durotan exhaled in relief as the wolf responded, bounding toward Durotan excitedly. Last was Drift, Zaka's wolf. Sadly, Durotan regarded his mother. She knelt beside Singer, who had been her companion for most of Durotan's life. Now she held the beloved wolf's head between her hands, looked deep into the golden eyes, and murmured, "Thank you." To Drek'Tar she said, "Ease him into the final sleep." Then she rose. There was no weakness in weeping for one's wolf companion. The bond was strong, true, and lifelong. The weakness, Durotan thought, would be in failing to weep. He vaulted atop Sharptooth's back and extended a hand to Gaia. "Ride with me, mother," he said, "and we will use the Spirit of Life's gift to save our clan." She leapt up behind him, as he crouched low over Sharptooth's neck and said, "Run, my friend." Durotan could only hope that, few as they were, they would be in time and able to help. "Do not sulk," Draka told Orgrim.
"I am not sulking," Orgrim said. "I am contemplating."
She folded her arms and regarded him as he rewrapped the shaft of the Doomhammer. "You are sulking. I am too. We are warriors, and we do not do well when we are not allowed to be such."
"It is not that,"
Orgrim said. Then he smiled ruefully.
"Well, not just that. Durotan does not understand how strong a leader he is. He has been what the clan needs in this strange and terrible time. I worry that if anything happens—"
He gestured to the Frostwolves around him. Most of them, as he was, were performing tedious chores of maintenance. Some of the children were playing with the wolves, who mock-growled and harmlessly snapped the air around them.
"Could I lead them, as he did?"
Draka sat next to Orgrim, still awkward in her changing, larger body. The child would be born within the next 2 moons. She had been feeling it kick for some time now. The child of Draka and Durotan would be a strong one, she knew. She only hoped that she would not have to raise it alone. Ice was never far, and when he saw his master sit, he plopped down beside her and laid his head on her paws. "The answer is no. You could not lead as he does." One hand wandered to the swell of her belly. "You are not Durotan. You are Orgrim. Of course you would lead differently. The question becomes, would you lead well?" He looked at her then. Draka had observed him since she had returned from her exile, and she knew, as her husband must, that beneath Orgrim's hulking size and bluff attitude there was a fierce and complicated mind, and a good heart. "And the answer to that question is, yes, I believe you would lead well." She punched his arm. "But not for a long time. Right now you get to lead a Frostwolf clan that is resting and repairing their armor and clothes. Are you up to that challenge, Orgrim Doomhammer, son of Telkar, son of Ruvash?" He laughed heartily.
"Durotan chose well when he chose you."
"That he did."
"Well," he said, "no one has died yet from mending and sitting, so I believe I am an excellent chieftain."
He finished the wrapping and hefted the Doomhammer, feeling the new leather against his calloused, thick fingers.
"I feel the need to move, to fight. I wish to destroy some terrifying rocks."
"Rocks?" Draka feigned horror. "Truly you would make an admirable chieftain to wage battle against so solid an enemy. I promise we will sing a Loch Vad Nod for—" A low growl interrupted her. Ice's head was up, and his ears were swiveled forward. Draka rose, shielding her eyes from the glare of the sun, and looked where the wolf was staring. She could glimpse a blur on the horizon. It could not be Durotan's return. The wolves would know his scent, and if they reacted at all, it would be to go greet the party. It seemed as if Orgrim was about to discover how well he could lead the Frostwolves, after all.